Alright, so if I'm going to make a video talking about the things that I don't like about the Steam Deck, which, spoiler alert, if you go back and watch that, not tearing the system down, not saying it's legitimately a bad system from a hardware or software perspective or anything like that, but rather just some ways that it's personally impacted my status quo, I guess you would say, for my gaming time. Of course, I'm going to do a follow-up to that video talking about the things that I really like about the system. Now, I've had the Steam Deck for about 3 months at this point, and initially what I thought was that the Steam Deck would be a novelty, right? Like, I'd mess around with it a little bit, I would have some fun, make a few videos, and then probably just roll right back into, like the PlayStation 5 or the Series X. But that has turned out to not be the case, and I'm still pretty much as obsessed with the Steam Deck now as I was when I first got the system when it launched. So, with all that being said, what I wanted to do today was just talk about some of the things that I really like about the Steam Deck, and reasons that I think I will continue to like it for a very long time. And to really kick off this list of things that I just really enjoy about the system, I'm going to start at the most basic, and that is that I absolutely love the aesthetics and the form factor of the Steam Deck. For starters, it's a really comfortable system to hold in the hand, and initially that was a big point of contention for me when I was considering whether or not I would even order this system. Because based on those early videos and pictures that I'd seen of the Steam Deck, I wasn't convinced that having the buttons so close to the edge of the system would at all be comfortable, but as it turns out, it's extremely comfortable. But it's not just the button placement or the fact that indeed it has extra buttons like the rear paddles, which are super convenient, particularly for chaotic action games, but I also like the feel of the raised analog sticks, and they feel so much better to me than the shorter analog sticks that you have on something like, say, the Switch's Joy-Cons. Now, secondary to how the Steam Deck actually feels in hand is the aesthetics or the look of the system. That's not really a deal breaker, right? The thing could look absolutely horrid and I'd still play it if it was comfortable and gave me a great gaming experience, but as it stands, I think it's a really handsome system. It's not over the top and cartoonish in its design where it looks like a toy or anything like that, but it's also not so Spartan and devoid of character that it comes off as bland or anything like that. It's just a solid, good-looking device. And I love the feel of the matte black plastic that they chose to go with so much that honestly I'm a little bit hesitant about putting on one of those cool vinyl wraps on my Steam Deck, even though there are a few that I really like, particularly the D-brand robot camo skin I think looks amazing, but I love the way the system looks so much on its own that I really don't know if I want to, mess that up by actually wrapping it in a vinyl wrap or, putting a case on it or anything like that. Also, this is a really weird side note, I realize, but I do like the smell of the vent on the Steam Deck. Some people have said it smells like new car smell, others have said it smells like a Blockbuster, which I'm not sure if I got that from it, but nonetheless, it does smell pretty good. Although I would not recommend huffing it because a lot of people have probably correctly pointed out that that smell is probably a lot of, plastic and nasty chemicals that are probably super not good for you to be breathing for any, extended period of time, but it does smell kind of nice, so, I don't know that I've ever thought about the way a system smells before, but Steam Deck pulled it off. But putting aside comfort and aesthetics, I think what might be my absolute favorite thing about the Steam Deck, which is kind of weird to put that early in the list, but here we are, is that it is amazing at just sort of consolidating video game experiences, and to that end, I think it might be my favorite device ever in terms of just convenience and the ability to consolidate a range of games across like 7 generations of gaming and put them right in the palm of your hand. It just manages to put so many different gaming experiences from so many disparate sources that it's almost overwhelming. You can play, native games, you can play emulated games, you can play homebrew games, you can play streamed games, you can play like Game Pass games, you can download games from other marketplaces if you want. I mean, there's almost just no end to the amount of experiences that you can just sort of cram into this thing, assuming you're willing to put in a little bit of tinkering, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And I just love that if I have to travel anywhere with the Steam Deck, probably for a more extended trip, right? Probably not for like a quick trip somewhere, but if I was gonna like stay overnight somewhere or do some serious traveling, the idea that I could bring one system with me that can give me experiences that range from as early as, Super Mario Bros. 3 to Silent Hill Origins, all the way up to like Final Fantasy VII Remake is kind of incredible. And all of that without the need of the traditional footprint that you would get from, say, a gaming laptop. And I don't think it's unfair to say that it might be the very best gaming device in the marketplace for that purpose right now. Now, I know it's not the only handheld gaming PC in town, but I don't know of a lot of others that are really matching the price/value proposition of what you can get from the Steam Deck. And in that regard, I think it really is the most successful device of its type in this space because it really does hit that sweet spot between, the openness and power and flexibility of a gaming PC with the streamlined convenience of a traditional gaming system. Now, don't get me wrong, it is not perfectly either of those things, but it is enough of both of those things to remain outrageously appealing. The next thing I really like about the Steam Deck is manufacturer support. And I don't necessarily just mean from like a hardware or a software perspective, although I do think Valve is nailing both of those things, but I also really like how consumer friendly they've been, especially with people who are really trying to get their hands on a Steam Deck, and some people miss their initial email to go ahead and place their order, and they went ahead and built in a grace period saying, hey, if you contact support, even if you miss the window, we'll hold on to it for another few days for you just in case you miss it. That's really great customer service, and I think it really does speak to just why the Steam Deck has been so successful so far, is that Valve has done an amazing job of supporting it. Now, if we are talking about things from a hardware and software perspective, perspective, I think it's pretty great that they've been very willing to talk openly about places where you can get replacement parts for the Steam Deck if you're somebody who really wants to crack it open and, do a repair or an upgrade yourself. And then on the software front, they've been incredible about rolling out a constant string of updates, some minor, some major, giving us cool new features like the 40 Hz mode, for example, or the ability to play local co-op games. I can't remember what the term for it is, but that still kind of blows my mind that they took games that, might have played better in a local co-op, sort of both players staring at the screen capacity, and made that work over the web. Still trying to wrap my head around that, but that's a pretty cool feature. But underlying all of these things that really makes it all work is that Valve has been incredible about maintaining a constant string of communication with its users. Whether that's talking, again, about software updates that are coming down the pike, new features that are actively in development, new games that are being verified on deck. It just feels like there's a level of transparency there that you don't often see from other console manufacturers, and I think that's really working to Valve's advantage. And as an extension of that transparency that I'm appreciating from Valve right now, I think the next thing that I really like about the Steam Deck is that openness/tinkering aspect of the system. One of the biggest things that I praised the system for in that initial impressions video was the openness of the system and how easy it was to sort of make the system do what you wanted. Not only did Valve make it very clear that you could install whatever operating system or software that you wanted to, but they even went so far as to provide their own teardown video to give you a better look at the inside so that you could better plan any upgrades or repairs that you might make later on. And while I also saw this as a cautionary point for people who might be expecting the same level of seamlessness that they get from, say, a traditional gaming console, I personally really love that aspect of just tinkering around with the system to see what I could pull off with it. Being able to load this thing up with any number of emulators, or gutting the UI entirely, or making changes in the desktop interface of the system to, running applications like OBS on it, it's kind of crazy that you can do all of this with this device. And I've had a blast bouncing around Twitter, or looking through Reddit posts, or looking through various videos that I've found here on YouTube to see, what kind of crazy things people are getting done with their Steam Decks. So much so that there have been days where I've spent hours on end just tweaking what could be done with the Steam Deck and modifying it to suit my own personal preferences without really firing up a game at all beyond just lightly to do testing for a particular emulator. It's just a whole lot of fun to poke around on the system and see what you can squeeze out of it that goes above and beyond, its out-of-the-box use cases. And speaking of researching things and learning from others, I gotta say the last thing that I really like about the Steam Deck is the community. And I don't just mean like a little bit, I like the Steam Deck community a whole lot. Now, I don't think it's unfair to say that there are some toxic gaming communities out there, but at least in my personal experience, I just don't get that kind of vibe from the community of Steam Deck players and enthusiasts. From everything that I've poured through, whether that be tips and tricks for particular games, to different types of software that you can load on the system, to 3D printed accessories, it just seems like everywhere I look, I've found a bunch of well-meaning, encouraging people who are willing to lend a hand and not at all angry when somebody asks what you might consider to be a stupid question. I'm sure I've asked a few of them. Even just seeing how welcoming people have been towards others who are just showcasing their genuine excitement for the device has been kind of a wholesome experience. And it just makes me really happy to see the outrageous level of support that we've seen, not just from the manufacturer, of course, but then also down to the player base and the community at large. I think that means that the Steam Deck's going to have a really bright future ahead of it, or at least I'm hoping so, and it's not just, some hunk of plastic and metal that gets relegated to history or something like that. So, yeah, I think the community for the Steam Deck has been a really great, welcoming one, and I really hope that trend continues, particularly whenever the inevitable Steam Deck 2 manifests. And naturally, I'm excited to keep contributing to that community as well. So yeah, that's all I wanted to do with this video, was just talk about some of the things I've noticed surrounding the Steam Deck that I really, really like about it, aside from just, it plays games really great and is, yet another portable gaming system. But hey, what about you? Is there anything in particular you love, or you've found that you've come to love about the Steam Deck that really wasn't apparent to you initially? Or maybe even if it's something unorthodox, let me know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. As always, thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch these videos. It means a lot to me. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.